BB851, turn right heading 180. 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
The British aviation industry has, in the past week, seen some pretty major changes, with the industry widely looking at bailouts worth billions to survive and more. However, one of the biggest talking points of the past 72 hours has been from British Airways, thanks to an internal memo titled quite simply, "The Survival of British Airways." Now, the internal memo has caused quite a bit of controversy, which I don't really want to get into heavily with opinions, rather detailing what the memo is in regards to. If you've been keeping up with the channel, you may know that the current state of the industry is probably in its worst place we've seen for quite some time. Not only are airlines currently suspending flights, but in addition we've seen the likes of Air Baltic, Lot Polish and SAS all either fully suspend their operations or getting close to a 100% capacity reduction, with more and more following with every passing day. This is almost dropping the quota that you're either too big to fail in this industry or too big to be impacted in times like these. Alex Cruz, the boss, stated in his internal memo that a number of jobs would indeed be lost as the airline fights for survival. From these specific comments, multiple people across social media said that his comments come at a time where using the outbreak of COVID-19 as an excuse for job loss can indeed be made. Many also, I've seen, deemed the airline not really fighting for survival. But what's worth noting is the overall impact, which simply cannot be ignored across the board. They are indeed going to face difficult times. He continued on to say specifically, "We can no longer sustain our current level of employment and jobs would be lost, perhaps for a short term, perhaps longer term," making note of how they have never grounded aircraft like they are currently doing. It's an unprecedented time. It's also being widely reported across the aviation industry that the SARS outbreak, global financial crisis, and also 9/11 does not even come close to the outbreak of COVID-19 and the impact it is having on the industry, with COVID-19, as mentioned, far exceeding these historical events that ultimately also impact the industry and flying greatly. What's interesting to me is Cruz did also note that British Airways currently has a good balance sheet and are financially resilient. However, he further added that employees of the company should not underestimate the situation and how it could very easily change at any given time. And should it worsen, it could potentially lead to a collapse. He's not the first airline executive to really come out with these kind of comments. However, some others have gone about it in a different manner to Cruz. We've seen over at Delta, the carrier and Ed Bastian announced they are indeed in talks with the government over how to preserve cash and continue to be in a stable situation, as customers continue to cancel bookings rather than booking future flights, like they may have done some 5 months ago when the coronavirus was simply not an issue. I'd be very interested to hear your take on the comments made by Cruz and whether you think the internal memo titled "The Survival of British Airways," depicting a state of affairs which could see it fighting for survival, to be true. Do you maybe think it was potentially not the right move to be titling it that? I'd be interested to hear your take. Thank you very much for your continued support. Stay safe as always, and I'll see you all in a few hours for the second video of today.